Welcome, everybody. As you can see, I'm surrounded by two new faces at least, and Adriana's back. And so, yeah, I mean, like, why don't we kick this off? Ty, who are you? Welcome to the pod.
Hello, I'm TV's Ty Angus. Yeah,
Our senior Five Nights at
yeah,
Freddy's correspondent.
our senior Five Nights at Freddy's correspondent. Here to talk with these lovely people about movies. I really like movies. I went to school for movies. I do movies sometimes.
Occasionally, Dutch's Day Off,
Yeah,
now on
Dutch's Day
YouTube.
Off.
Yeah.
You can find that on
And
the
in the
internet.
description of this video or podcast, wherever you're listening or watching.
It better be, yeah.
And on that beautifully organic introduction, let's pass it off to our other new member, Samuel.
Yes, hello, I am Sam. I also love movies. I did not study movies, though. I just watch a lot of movies.
Sam, you may have known if you're a longtime listener of the pod, is frequently referenced as the person that I wish I got to be when I watch movies, because I send a text to Sam that says something to the extent of Saturday night, 7 o'clock, can you be there? And he doesn't know what movie we're watching. He just says yes, and we go see it. And yeah, he is, next to Adrian, those two are my most reliable movie people consistently. So then obviously we have Adriana here joining us as well. Back, I don't even know, I've been so lost in the sauce, I don't even know. I think you've only been gone for one or two, but it's nice to have you
one,
back
I think,
either
maybe?
way. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
just
set
one.
up.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
no,
right.
no, two. I missed Naked Gun as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But we're all back to talk the Toxie double bill. So the four of us all went together.
Yeah.
I counted us like 6 times before I said that. The four of us all went to a screening at Cinema du Parc. It was put on in collaboration with Cinema du Parc and Fantasia. They did the Toxie double bill. So we got to watch the original Toxic Avenger from 1984.
Good.
Had a nice 15-minute break. And then we watched the new one, the 2023 remake, I guess. Yeah, it's not a sequel, it's a remake.
Remake.
Yeah, remake,
Yeah, I love
reboot.
how it says 2023, even though it just released in 2025.
Yeah. Well, I think it was made a couple years ago, but it only is now getting a theatrical run. Right?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
it?
Well,
Like,
we'll
it's
dig into that because it was
premiered.
one of those situations where, yeah, the movie was made, and then they said like, oh, we can't get a theatrical release because it was unrated. It was harder than ours, so they didn't think we could release a unrated movie and make money. But then Terrifier 3 came out and made a boatload of money. So then that's what got this movie finally released. I have thoughts and comments on that, but we'll hop into that when we get to the spoilers section. But we usually kick off with our basic high level overview, spoiler free thoughts very quickly, and then we'll jump in. I'll kick off. I liked the original much more than I liked the second one or the new one. There's 4 originals, I guess,
Yeah.
technically. But I liked the original 1984 more than I liked the new one. I wish I was more excited to endorse the new one, but unfortunately I am not. It was positive. Like, I think it's a good movie, good enough movie that you can have certainly some fun with, but I just kind of wanted a little bit more of that fun. But what were your thoughts? I know you'd seen the original one before.
Yeah, I was a really big fan of the original one. Saw it a boatload of times. When I was in college, we rented out our TV program's TV studio, and we brought in a projector, and we brought in everybody in our program, and we did a giant double feature of Toxic Avenger and a movie called Mr. Stitches. Which I think Dutch's Day Off had a bigger budget than Mr. Stitches.
Oh, damn.
But maybe we'll talk about that another time. I know I told
Ty
Adriana
plugging
and
his
Sam
own
about
stuff
it.
organically over here, by the way.
Yeah, I know. But and so yeah, it's one of those things where I think it is just a classic piece of indie cinema of back in the day, and is just sort of a big inspiration for a lot of people I know, and even me to a certain extent. And so yeah, the first one hands down absolutely amazing, absolutely just perfect. I love it. Second one, I think I feel a lot more strongly about it than you, definitely. I did not like it. There was like a handful of jokes that got me, and I think it just sort of lacks all of the charm and personality of the original. So me personally, I can't recommend it because I didn't fuck with it at all.
Hater mode. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
hater
say
mode.
the first movie, I think when it was done, I looked at you guys and I said that movie, that B movie'd so hard, I think that's actually a C movie now. Like like positively, it was definitely quite an experience. But what about you, Sam? Where did you fall?
Well, I had never seen them before or even really heard of them, which is a lot of fun going into it totally blind. The only thing I knew about the first movie was the poster, as we saw when we walked in. But the first one I had a lot of fun with. I thought it was really cool. It's like perfect over the top, like absurdist camp, like splatter film kind of vibe. It was very ridiculous, but very fun. And I remember telling you, I think as soon as we came out of it before seeing the second one, I was like, I do not know how you remake a movie like this. Uh, or why you would choose to, but it's I thought the second one was fine. It was okay. It was like, it lacked a lot of the over the topness of the first one. It did go hard on like the violence and stuff, and we'll get into some of the kills later, but like it just it didn't have the same heart to it as the other one. Like it didn't feel as sincere, I guess, in my opinion. So like you can watch it if you're like a big fan and you don't care being a little disappointed, you can watch it. But like otherwise, I don't know why they made it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. What about you, Adriana?
Yeah, I mean, so I also had never seen the original and didn't really know what to expect going into it, although I guess I had heard of it because it was already in my watch list. Uh, um, and like you guys had a ton of fun with it. I thought it was like a perfect example of John Waters' like classic, like good bad taste, like it's just
Trashy.
delightfully trashy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the sort of uh I don't know, practical effects, like ooey gooiness of it was great. And then the remake, I feel like I probably fell somewhere in the middle. Like I had a bit of fun with it, but ultimately felt it was like pretty pointless and didn't really add anything. Um and probably didn't need to be made, and there were parts of it that just like didn't work or fell flat for me. So, but I did also like have some fun with it, and like there were some bits that did work. Just very mixed bag, I think, overall.
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of stands out to me, and like we've got our spoiler-free thoughts out of the way, so we can jump into spoilers of a 40-year-old movie, and
Spoilers,
the
he
more,
becomes the Toxic Avenger.
yeah, he becomes the Toxic Avenger right in the middle. No, at the first one for me, I think if I wonder if we didn't see those back to back, if the new one would have been better for me. I know this is something Sam, you and I talked a little bit about before, but it was one of those cases where like I could see kind of why that movie had like this sort of staying power and like was so impactful for people, and it had just this an edge to it, and I think for better or worse depending on your perspective, like they go really dark in moments, and but like undercut them like almost instantaneously, and there's uses of slurs, and not in like like they're made by bad evil characters and everything, but they still use them. And this sequel movie or the remake, it really like avoided any real controversial stuff. It really lacked completely any kind of edge. And I was kind of baffled, honestly, when they were like, oh, this movie, that was unrated as opposed to just like a classic R rating, kind of surprised me, like especially contrasted to like CGI gore stuff that we get and the thing. Like I was thinking about like the Deadpool movies, like it really wasn't any worse than those from like a, adult content standpoint or anything. But yeah, I was just kind of baffled at why this was such a hard movie to release, because I felt like it was relatively tame, but especially in comparison to the original movie that it's rebooting.
It felt toothless.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the original wearing sock and boppers, like just fucking absolutely nothing behind it, really.
Yeah, I think
no
toothless is probably the best word for it.
Yeah. And I think you put it when we came out of the double feature, Shay. You said the first one is memorable, and I would definitely qualify the remake, as forgettable. Because it did not have any of the sort of like true like absurdist parts that makes the first one fun. Like it didn't go hard enough or campy enough in any direction. Like it took itself for a movie that doesn't take itself seriously. It did still take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
And I felt like that hurt it a lot in the like final product. Like there's some bits that are fun, but like overall as a movie, especially compared to the original, that is just so, everything it's doing is so pushed to the extreme. Like I was rewatching the like murdering the kid with the car scene this morning just to get in the headspace. And like I was and like the soundtrack they're using for it is like an upbeat like 80s bop while they're like murdering a child, and I'm like, this new movie didn't do any of that.
Yeah, they go out every night and drive around and try to hit people with their cars.
Yeah, to de-stress,
Evan was asking me how the movie was, and I was like, I like casually mentioned the kid killing scene. He was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, yeah, you had to be there. Like it just like is so I don't know, deliberately done in bad taste in such a great way. Like they're not only do they kill the kid and like run over his head, but they then take pictures after, and then
a lot
taking
of
it even
Polaroids.
further, they get like the girl starts masturbating over
to the Polaroids. Yeah,
in the sauna
later, in the sauna. Good stuff.
Yeah, like it's so like it's crazy over the top, and like when they kill that kid, and like not only do they hit the kid with the car, all practical stunt stuff too.
Yeah.
And they hit the kid with the car, but he's still alive, so they reverse and crush his head like a melon. Yeah, exactly. He needed his full points. So it's like, and they show all of that. It's all on camera. And then I think like when I really knew the new one was going to lose me, and this was again a line that we all really talked about from the first one, but when I don't even want to say it back.
Now you have to say that line on camera, Shay.
Well, so the line, they're in the diner, and there's these guys, by the way, like I don't even remember, they were like costumed or whatever. They had like makeup. And
I mean, the one guy
like,
had a costume.
Outfit.
He had the like.
Well, the guy that drops our line that we like, I felt like that just felt like a costume.
And that was just classic.
That's what they wore in the 80s, I guess.
Like, that was classic, like 80s.
Yeah, that with face paint.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you watch like old like canon films and stuff like that, that's just what criminals dressed like in the 80s. That's just
that very much felt like in the same
yeah.
ballpark. But yes, the line, he's about to sexually assault this woman,
blind woman.
A blind woman that's in the diner. They kill the dog, and I have to say, obviously, I'm not one of those. I love dogs, obviously, but I'm not one of those people that like, wrings their hands at dead animals. But it was so funny to me when they're showing the dog, and it's like been shot twice with a shotgun, and they show it's got all these gore effects on its side, but you can see the dog just clearly like panting and breathing, and that really made me laugh.
His tail's wagging.
Exactly. But so then they bend this girl over, and he says the line,
Well, first he says, "Let me introduce you to my friend Ben. Ben who? Bend over."
Or-
Yes, another all-time classic cinema piece. And then it's that, yeah, I've never cornholed me a blind bitch is the line. And what pissed me off was that they reference by almost recreating to a degree, but again, a much more toothless degree.
yeah.
They recreate that sort of diner scene in the new one, and they like interrupt the line, and he was going to deliver the line again, and they interrupt it, which kind of like was in part like a funny gag, but I think is emblematic of the movie not really having any of the sort, not that it was like necessarily brave, but again like that toothless
It won't push the envelope
edge.
nearly
Yeah,
enough.
like it didn't really
Yeah.
like push anything, so it was like that was kind of the sign for me that I knew this was like, oh no, that's not good, because that's relatively, well, I was gonna say early-ish, but I feel like the remake, like it takes a minute to build, it feels like to get to the actual change into the Toxic Avenger, and we're bogged down with like a lot of story beats
We got to introduce all of our
The
and
characters.
like
backstory,
yes, and we got to give them
character stuff
lore
that
and
they try to make work. Yeah.
yeah, and so and then that was like another gripe kind of I had with the movie is that like the Toxie stuff feels really like a big chunk of the original, which again is also only 84 minutes or whatever it
Yeah.
was. And
But it uses every minute.
right, and then this one I feel like we really get like two big Toxic Avenger scenes before we're in like the third act sort of finale, wind up for this new one. So I remember thinking like, oh, that was like really quick just jumping into all of this to the end once like the transition happens, I guess.
Yeah, I do find like the problem with like toning it down in the new one is that the reason it works in the first one and that the villains can be so ridiculous and over the top is because you push it to a point where it's clearly like parody, satire. It's
Mhm.
not like you're not supposed to take these villains like seriously. We're making them comedically villainous so that
Yeah.
you have a fun time when we eviscerate them, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
I was just about to say they're all comedically evil. Like it's
yeah,
like
Yeah.
like
Just so over the top.
yeah, just like the pure essence of like evil, but like done up, hammed to the T's. Like it's just so crazy. And then when you have another one where like you tone it down a little, the villains become more real,
Mhm.
and that kind of defeats the point of then like it. I find it invites, not that this movie's inviting much contemplation, but it invites a sort of more moral question to the killings, where the first one pushes it so far that there's no question. You're just like, sure, go ahead, murder everybody. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think by drawing more attention to like the little references to the original, it just makes it even more stark too. Like the line is like the perfect example. They like kind of drop it in there and then undercut it, and that's like the whole movie. It's like they kind of go there and then it just undercuts itself in the new one.
Well, and like the edgiest bit too is like they piss on the like he pisses on his like face and neck to do him like and
To
show
melt
like
a collar. that
yeah, to
was
show
going-
his like little Toxic
Is
Avenger
that even
penis
is
and
that
like
the edgiest bit? Like that
what, like in the new
didn't-
one, wasn't it? Was there anything else? I mean, I think that really, and like again, like it's so like that feels so tame, and it could be like because too we've watched like Righteous Gemstones and stuff like that where like dick isn't shocking anymore, you can't just show dick and be like, everyone pearl clutches now. We're a little more used to that on screen, I feel like.
Yeah, like
So
the dick is about as far as it goes, and you see it for all of 2 seconds. Like the
it's
first
still
episode of
pretty
the
dark.
new season of
Yeah.
Peacemaker was fucking more
Yeah.
crass than this one. Like you see people fucking, you're like,
I did like Elijah Wood though.
Yes.
he was
Oh,
he was the
yeah.
best part for me, actually.
Yeah.
Like characters and performance wise, like I love that he was like like Tim Burton's Penguin basically, except skinnier.
Yeah.
But like just visually, that was obviously the look, and kind of like unnecessarily, like I think there was like some loose like, oh, because they are like the polluting toxic chemical family or whatever. Like, I was assuming that was just kind of tangentially related to that, but that was kind of funny, and like, again, his performance of it was good. I thought it was kind of weird though how they like handle like his death fake out like almost instantaneously. Like, they show him get his throat slit and you're like, no, and then we like cut to black and wake up and he's just fine kind of in the next scene, and it's like, oh,
Because he redeemed himself.
okay.
Yeah. He doesn't need to be toxically avenged.
Yeah.
Well,
But
okay,
yeah.
so I had one question for you guys on this too. My kind of understanding in the first, like the original movie, was that he had this, like, it was almost like a compulsion. Like, it was like he was drawn to these acts of evil
Yeah,
and
it was almost like
acted.
a supernatural compulsion to fight,
Right,
destroy
like,
evil.
'cause he would
which
just,
is
like-
why he kills the old lady in the laundromat.
Right, and
Yeah,
I
despite
thought
us
that
not
was
knowing she's evil.
Well, because
exactly
he doesn't even know that he's evil, because he
Yeah.
goes home and he's like, I think I'm going fucking crazy
Yeah.
right.
because I just killed a random old woman, and then it turns out that she was in charge of the largest white slavery ring in the country.
And they're like, we have to bury that. We can't let that
Yeah,
get out.
There was this interesting thing of like, at first you think he's just like a monster, right? Like, he's kind of grunting and like just seems to be very primal and animalistic and just operating on that kind of animal instinct of killing people. But then he talks and it's like, hello, ma'am, or whatever.
Oh,
The VO is so
Don't
good.
worry, I got you.
so
I have you.
so good. And so it's like a comedic contrast, but then you find out he's just like, he's very much a normal guy still, but he just has this animalistic drive to fight evil and like save people, which is so good.
He's drawn to evil because they have the whole
Yeah.
thing where it's like the scientist at the university explaining that
Yeah.
he's
Giving the science reason why he's like,
he's compelled to destroy evil because
Right.
of something in the toxic chemicals.
But like, I
Right,
think
like-
narratively that sets up something interesting, because like, again, which the first movie like, flirts with in its way of like, yes, he kills this old woman and now all of a sudden the town and like the mayor and all these bad people are using that against him, but it's because she's actually evil and stuff. And like, that's like, that compulsion or whatever is completely gone from the new one. It's not in that at all. Like, he just like, he's rescuing his own son. He like resists it, right?
Yeah.
Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't want to do stuff. He only
Mhm.
starts like killing these people because of that.
Well, because Kevin Bacon wants to capture Toxie
Yeah.
so they can use his blood to make a medicine that makes your dick bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like a dick growth pillar.
This
yeah,
is
yeah,
like,
the
slight-
girthening, they call it.
Slight
Sure.
tangent, but something I found really annoying with the new one was the fact that he like, okay, so in the original he's like physically empowered, right? He can just fucking destroy people
Mhm.
with his bare hands. And then in the new one they give him a weird fucking mop.
Lightsaber mop.
Lightsaber toxic mop that should just be like burning everything, is always like CGI smoking, which drove me crazy. And that's like how he kills everyone, which sure, whatever, but it felt, I don't know, it bothered me for some reason.
It
'Cause, like,
bothered me
the-
a lot too.
Yeah, the funny bit in the original is that he like destroys these people and then he just like shoves a normal mop on their face.
Yeah, like a
Just
calling
that's-
card. He's
yeah,
just
it's like
regular
calling-
mop.
Yeah,
But
So yeah, I don't know, giving him this like weird toxic weapon just sort of, it kind of almost takes away from like the transformation of like, okay, so he transformed and got more muscles and stuff, but he doesn't really use them.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong too. Does like one Toxic Avenger in the first one is played by a different actor, right?
Of course.
Like, it's not,
Of
yeah,
course,
like, yeah,
of
because
course.
his
Yeah.
size is way up. But like, that was the other bit, was that he was like that scrawny little nerd kid.
Melvin.
Yeah, and then they like, yeah, he becomes like ginormous.
Yeah.
And they kept Peter Dinklage, yeah, the same. He just like is like the thicker.
Well,
they
so
like threw more
it wasn't-
prosthetics on him.
It wasn't
Yeah, it was a
Peter
different
Dinklage in the
guy
new one.
in the
It was
suit.
actually a woman. in the suit in the new one,
Yeah.
and Peter Dinklage was just
He
doing
wouldn't
the
even
voice.
get in the suit.
No, fuck no. He's Peter Dinklage. He's
Yeah.
got shit to do.
Dude, I'm anti Peter Dinklage. Dude, I've really turned on this guy in the last few years. Couldn't even be bothered to play in the suit, dude. Oh my
I mean, I think
God.
it is more of a logistical thing of like he probably wouldn't have been able to do all of the stunts or whatever, but
Yeah.
Well, I did think the voice stuff, like, obviously was really noticeable to me, like, but I thought it was just the prosthetic jaw that they had for
Yeah,
it. But yeah, that would check out too. At least it blended, I guess, a little better. But I think, again, that charm you mentioned of, like, the voice in the first one, where, like, you do like, rah, rah, and, like, he growls and shit, but then it's like, you can't see his mouth for the first, like, for 90% of the
no,
dialogue
they
he
wait.
delivers. But then you hear him go like, "Hello, Susan. How are you? What is going on?" Like, he's just so like, formal.
Hi,
And
it's me, Melvin.
yeah, yeah. Like, it was, and that was like really funny, and like all of those kinds of bits that like were just completely like abandoned or lost, and like that was another one that was really disappointing. But also, like, yeah, like in terms of the violence in this, like, I hated, there was not the most memorable kill in this new one to me was the one that was the payoff of the gag of like, here, follow my lead, I'll distract them.
Oh yeah.
That was the best kill, and it was because it was funny and surprising. But like the gore effects throughout the movie were like almost all CG,
I've hated it.
and it looks terrible. I hate it so much. And like, for a movie to be 40 years apart, and the fact
Yeah.
that I loved almost every kill in the original more than this one was, I think, like possibly the biggest sin the movie commits, because
Yeah.
it's like, I can't believe in 40 years we've actually regressed from
Yeah.
an effects standpoint like that so significantly.
Yeah, I do think like compared to like the sitting the girl on the hot coals in the sauna or the deep fryer kill or like
the hand.
the
Yeah.
milkshake.
the
The milkshake.
milkshake thing, like there's so many good kills in the first one, and then yeah, this one it's just like you said. I think the funniest one is definitely that the girl being like, "Okay, I'm gonna distract them," walks out, the two guys are surprised and just shoot each other in the heads, and then
Well, I remember I said this after the screening, but I was like, as soon as we saw the first like kill, like actual kill, where he fucking uses his lightsaber mop and like swipes the guy's jaw off, and it was CG, instantly I was like, oh fuck.
No.
I was like, because this is like the first like big one. I was like, so this is like, this sets the tone of the rest of them.
Yeah.
You know, like you need to start with something big. And like as soon
It's
as I saw it was just like CG, I was like, oh damn it.
it's also it's so much less visceral too, which makes it even
Yeah.
more surprising that the movie got such a like was so controversial as far as the unrated thing. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't have the same impact. It's just okay, like yeah, and the blood spatter, like all of that, just it looks so bad to me when I think it stood out especially when he's killing the band.
Mm.
Like that was
Mm.
probably the worst looking sequence, and he like smashes the guy's head in and he's like still moving around, which bothered me too. I don't know.
Well, that scene should have been much more like, yeah, like big triumphant, like it's kind of what builds to like
Here
a
are
lot
like
of,
our big villains.
yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
our big like our goon squad, like it's all of our heavies, you know, like, and it's over very quickly and it's like very like meh,
yeah,
like just it just sort of happened.
And it also felt really inorganic, because that's actually part of where they try to like play with the idea where like the public turns on him.
Yeah.
But like if it didn't really work like organically for me when they're like, oh, this weird band that does whatever the kind, they make a bit about
Horrorcore
whatever,
or whatever.
yeah,
the fuck
whatever
it's called.
genre of music that was
Monster
supposed to
core.
be.
That's what it
monster
was.
core.
But like
Monstercore.
they play up that bit for that, and then like some of the people are like, hey, wait a minute, like we like these guys, why would you kill them? Like completely unfazed that like even in that moment, like all of the band guys like pulled their guns first and like, you know, did all their like, you know, bad evil person stuff. But like even going further on, the next point with that was the Kevin Bacon fight scenes at the end were horrifically terrible.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
horrific,
Kevin
like
Bacon
just so
was
lame
fun for
basics.
most of the movie. Like, you know, he was being campy and over the top. So, like, I think he was having a good time with it. But yeah, the fight scene at the end was just not very good. It was just,
I feel like he could have done
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Like
yeah,
it mostly was just Kevin Bacon, in my opinion.
just Kevin
Where
Bacon
it
hanging
was
out.
just like, like, have you ever seen like Animal House? And he talks about like in a like documentary where he did his audition, they were like, "Can you do smarmy?" And he was like, "I had no idea what like that word meant, but I just sort of like did a face," and they were like, "Perfect."
You're
Like, you
Well,
got it.
I feel like with you and I as the resident Nick Cage fans,
Yeah.
like we have the camp, like the character was camp and like kind of like, written that way, but like yeah, his performance overall was really tame and just like normal.
Hmm.
Like as like this again kind of like throwaway bad guy in a movie, like generally like this. It was like, yeah, I could have used like way more of a dial up, and then also like his transformation.
He turns into Krampus.
It was
Yeah.
so weird and confusing, and I was like not like confused, like I don't know, but it was just I'm like, oh, like it didn't like it didn't fit for me, so I just remember being like distracted. I'm like, why the hell does he look like Krampus? Or I was thinking the devil
Yeah.
almost like in Tenacious D or whatever, but I was like,
Yeah.
what
And
the
like,
hell?
they like make the reveal that he's Bozo from the original.
Yeah.
But like comparatively to the acting Bozo does in the first
Oh
one,
yeah.
where he's just like
stressed out.
stressed, like literally the man is flexing his face for the entirety of the film. Just the most coked out 80s Jim Bro you've ever seen.
Yeah, I've
Oh,
never
And
seen
Leonard.
such bulging eyes
Yeah.
before.
Like when he grabs his like tiny little bit of like belly.
yeah.
But again, I think that's probably like part of why it weighed the movie down for us so much was seeing one after the other. Like every character, I would argue, in the first one, basically that we spend like any decent time with, is more over the top and camp than any character in the new one. And like again, like I want to go back to a bit you mentioned too, Sam, like about the tone and stuff. And like this has been a thing I feel like I've ragged on now for ages about movies trying to like shoehorn in like serious kind of themes in a way that doesn't fit these movies. And it's not that you can't, like obviously the Toxic Avenger original, like it has its commentary on the environment and pollution and like all of that, but it's done in a way that fits the movie that it is. And I feel like in this one where you're shoehorning in themes of like healthcare and insurance and the pollution themes again, and like they shoehorn these things all, and like family even, and like they shoehorn all
Step
these kinds of
parents.
serious like bits in. And then but like even love stories, like it's not that you can't have them in a movie, but if your movie is a particular way, like the love montage in the very first one is hilarious, and it conveys to the audience the same information that these two are in love and blah blah blah, but it fits the tone of the movie. And then in this one it's like every time the movie feels like it pauses or takes a break so we can be like, this kid is anxious and has mental health
He's not
stuff.
a
And
stepdad. He's the dad who stepped up.
You stepped
Yeah.
up. Yeah. The Toxic Avenger, the dad who stepped up.
The dad who stepped up. Yeah, like that whole bit, like why add the kid? Like it just grounds
Yeah.
it too much. And
Mhm.
like you said, like the first one, yeah, it has those themes of environmentalism. It has like sub themes of like, oh, like don't judge people by their looks, whatever. Like the hot people are evil, can be horribly evil, and this ugly guy can be a hero, whatever. Like, but it fits the tone of the movie. And yeah, the other one is like family. Like what is
Yeah.
Yes. It's
I
about
feel
family.
like it's.
Yeah.
I feel like when you do that, they're like trying to build character motivation and also stakes, right? Because the kid gets
Mhm.
used to. But then it's so at odds with like the whole premise of the movie and the tone and everything that the tone that it should be going for, that it just it just kind of bogs the movie down. Because like on a higher level, like this is a movie about a man who falls into toxic waste and becomes a superhero, trying to make that serious, and like but he has a kid and he needs to fight for his son, and like their mom is dead and she's
What's
out
his
of like
motivation?
what's his motivation? No, his motivation should just be he is drawn to kill evil because toxic
Just
waste,
toxic stuff.
like it should be stupid and on that level, and it's just trying to go for this high level thing that just is at odds with the fundamental like premise of the movie.
Like there's literally a scene where the Toxic Avenger gets on stage, grabs a microphone, and starts preaching to people about how like big pharma and insurance companies are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you think? Never mind, I'm not even gonna. I was gonna be like, what did you think the Toxic Avenger would have thought of that Luigi Mangione guy? Or
Yeah,
whatever?
exactly.
Where's that reference? I guess that happened after the fact, but
too soon.
I just want to
Yeah.
also quickly mention on now that so I didn't know that Peter Dinklage didn't play like the actual Toxic Avenger.
Oh, you didn't know?
That pisses me off so much then that they didn't change him physically.
Yeah, just make him
If
huge
like
or
I
something,
assumed they kept did just like thicken him out because I assumed it was him that was playing. I'm like, well, if he'll play it the whole time, we'll keep him smaller. But I'm like, why did you not just size him up dramatically and get him played by like a
wrestler?
Yeah, like what are we
somebody...
talking like that? I can't that seems like such an obvious no-brainer. Not even just like as a reference or whatever to the original, but like that in and of itself, if to me is like it's a bit like it's another component of like it's like a real transformation other than like the bullet turning into like an eye camera or something. It's like
I feel like it's part of the like modern sensibility of the movie, let's say, of just like like if you take Peter Dinklage and turn him into just like a massive like
hulking
dude, then it's the implication to play devil's advocate or whatever is that as a little person he can't be a hero or whatever. Like, he has to have a bodily transformation, become this hulking massive normal person to be a hero or whatever.
That's exactly the kind of political conversation that the Toxic Avengers should in no way be engaging with in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean. Like it's that like again that original movie. Like it shouldn't care about that. Like it should care about doing the weird absurd bits and like keep his voice. Like keep like because that's kind of what I
wanted
expected.
them to lean into more of like the hug.
Well, but yeah, like
hello, madam.
Have it be still Peter Dinklage's voice, but dial the sophistication.
It's also part of the more like let's say realistic tone of it because like the original Melvin is like this scrawny fucking twerp.
The tagline is literally he was 98 pounds of solid nerd until he became the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
It's on the poster. That's literally the tagline.
Like, oh boy, I don't know. He's got his mop
with like the twerpiest face I've ever seen in a movie, I think.
A great casting, to be honest.
Yeah.
And just becomes this hulking dude, but then by casting Peter Dinklage and then having the more realistic sort of modern sensibility, it's like, well, we can't go to that level of absurdity where he's just totally different and like whatever. I don't know. I'm not saying it works, but I see the logic in why they went that way, but it just it takes away from the fun of it.
But even from a casting perspective, like Peter Dinklage, Jacob Tremblay seem like weird calls. Like Elijah Wood, I can understand. You want like he's weird. Like you can put a weird guy in there, that's fine. But like Peter Dinklage and Jacob Tremblay are like real actors, and you're putting them in this, and I'm like,
The cast is like
Yeah.
oddly stacked for what this movie is too. Like that did kind of surprise me. And then that's what made me like, oh, like this is gotta be like, I was like hopeful that the kind of like
Passion.
sales job of like, oh, it was too edgy to put in theaters and we didn't think anyone would make money and theaters wouldn't distribute it or whatever. And I'm like, this is what that was about. Like, and in hindsight, maybe the fact it did get like such a decent normal cast was to the movie's detriment because like like the risks that people would be willing to take if they're not named actors that everybody's or a lot of people are familiar with. But yeah, like I think the fact that this movie even has like modern sensibilities or that's even like a consideration, because you're absolutely right, it definitely was, and you can feel that through the whole movie. But it's like, again, it just feels like a 2023, 2025 remake of a movie that people like might have seen. But like I feel like this movie is like more or less banking on an audience that hasn't seen the old stuff, that like this would sell you enough on its own to bring out a new audience that hasn't seen the original. And but again, then I feel like you just draw these people out to a movie that has like zero memorable stuff to it at all.
yeah, I really feel like the only people who might like this movie is like 44-year-olds who saw Toxic Avenger when they were like 12, and they're like, that was wild, and they never watched it again since, so they have like a vague memory of it, and they're like, Peter Dinklage, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And then you might be like, it was fine.
Yeah, there was like enough nods to the original that they're kind of trying, I think, to attract fans of it, but it does feel very much like they wanted to make it for like a new audience, and I don't know that really works.
I think part of it might have, and this goes into like what the unnecessary family like plot line. I think part of it might have been like, oh well, the people who watched Toxic Avenger when they were little kids, now they have kids. And now they want to go take their fucking kid to see Toxic Avenger or whatever. And then that's probably also why they throw in these like little fucking family elements. So then you can be like, I'm Peter Dinklage and my son is that other kid. I would fall into toxic waste and save you from Kevin Bacon, son.
I'm trying to think, like, even on the design of it, I thought really lacked. Like, not that the original was like a groundbreaking like character design. It was like the distorted face kind of was it, but it was like iconic in its own way. But like, yeah, like the only thing I will remember, I think, from this movie is Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I was gonna say this earlier. I feel like out of all the actors in this movie, he's the only one that's in Toxic Avenger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's the only one I feel like that gets it.
Yeah, and I feel like part of it is like, because Elijah Wood has like the camp, but he also has the heart, because like the first Toxic Avenger does have like a good amount of heart to it, right?
It's
Like
all
it's
heart.
like, yeah, like he saves the town, like the town stands up for him at the end. They're like, no, don't kill him just because he's a monster. Like he's actually a hero. So like it does have a good amount of heart, and like even the villains being so over the top like leans into that a little bit, like makes the rest of the people more sympathetic. And it's just like the new one, it's like Elijah Wood, like you said, is like the only one who's actually in this movie. And Peter Dinklage is in like, he's trying to be the dad and trying to be whatever. I'm like, you don't need that. It's okay.
Well, I was trying to look it up too. So this got like Toxic Avenger went wide this weekend, this past weekend from when we're recording. It was almost in about 2,000 theaters in North America. And the Friday preview or the Thursday preview screenings had 650,000, which is like nothing. And it probably wouldn't have even cracked the top 10 box office movies this weekend as a fresh release. And I think a huge part of that is again because like it's not the kind of movie that's, again, like the original, so shocking or absurd or over the top or memorable, any of these kinds of things we can use to describe it, that it would garner like a big word of mouth campaign like Terrifier or anything like that. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
about this movie to me that would be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, overlook these parts, but like, because even the Terrifier was like, yeah, like maybe it's not the greatest narrative or whatever, but like it's crazy over the top gore. And that was enough to get people out in spades to see that movie. This movie that doesn't have that one thing that you can be like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can overlook the kind of tonal issues or whatever the thing is, but you go for this. Like it doesn't have any of that. It's just really kind of unremarkable, which is
It
disappointing given what it was like talked about as.
it also feels very unlikely to gain a cult following the way the first one
No, yeah,
did.
not at all. Just
No, like it's just not. It doesn't have that. It's too for like I don't know what the budget was for it, but it's like too high, but it's too in the middle of trying to be different things to sort of get either of those audiences, I feel like.
Do you guys think that the B movie like of our era, like those like all those old practical effects and stuff that came through in the other one, do you think that that is CG now, like where all those old classic B movies are practical effects? Do you think like the B movies of this era are just like forced into this CGI component? Because like I feel like that to me, and I can't tell if this is like my old school kind of like inclination and preference on what I like, but like again, I feel like practical effects always feel more interesting, even if they're not done well. Like I can overlook like, oh, that was clearly not his head that had just smashed. Like when we cut to it just before it exploded, we could see that it was not his head.
like
But that I'm more willing to overlook. Like it doesn't impact me as much as like
Well,
clearly digital effects feel
I
like.
mean,
yeah.
Is that
I
just the
would
cheaper way to
not
do it now?
I would not classify this as a B movie. And I think it had I don't know what the budget was,
No.
but I mean, given the cast, Macon Blair too has Netflix money. He made a movie for Netflix. He was in like the guy who directed Green Room, I forget his name, but he was in like all of his movies. So it feels like it has some money behind it. Which is why it looks bad because it's all
Yeah.
CGI. It's like similar to what Shea, you and I were sort of talking about with Naked Gun, of like the CGI parts of that movie didn't quite were the polished kind of CGI looking fight scene, for example, in Naked Gun. It felt too high budget for what that movie was like sort of supposed to be. Like it's almost like
Yeah.
too much money can be a bad thing, I think, for certain types of movies. And
Yeah.
this is like absolutely a victim of that, I think, because it's not a B movie. It doesn't have that. Yeah, that doesn't answer your question. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if those movies even exist anymore. Like they probably
but,
do in circles, but they're just not getting like seen.
Well, yeah, I guess I like for me, it's just more of like the logic of like why the digital effects and like even if they had like, and I agree, like it doesn't have a B movie spirit or anything like that. It's clearly not done on a shoestring budget or anything, but it's just like, then why opt for these digital effects? Because like, is it like to me, that's the explanation is that it's easier and cheaper. But then like that's where it's like this like kind of tearaway because like have they I guess I don't know, but that's the problem is like if all of these movies back in the day could have all these squibs and visuals and head pops and like all of the effects in the first movie, uh are they dramatic? Is digital effects really that much cheaper today?
like I
And
can't
if so,
imagine
like,
it is.
well, that's what I mean. Is it? And even if it is, then this movie has a bit more money. Then use that money for effects that like stand out. Like again, Terrifier. Not to keep bringing this contrast up, but like that was where that movie really shines, is they're really practical effects almost all of the time. Like I feel like I remember very significantly they do like major, like there's always at least one major like set piece one, but it's like chainsaws like up people from like with their legs spread and whatever, and it's like obviously it's not real, but it's definitely like, again, they use like filled in dolls and things like that, and like it just looks and feels more visceral than just watching
Yeah.
a guy like effortlessly get his jaw like torn off with no like oomph or feeling or impact at all.
I think it's a like multifaceted thing of like the industry has changed and the people who are experts in those things are fewer and far between, and like harder to find. And then it's, I think the CGI is like a more convenient kind of cheaper for studios and executives and those people, because it's like just shoot it however and then we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll
That's
do it
sort of
after
the
the fact.
mentality, right?
Yeah.
And it
You save budget during production and like
yeah.
Yeah, well, because like working with practical effects and stuff like that, also on like smaller shoots, is one of those things where it's like it is easier and more convenient to use CG because, like, if you're doing something like the head explosion from Scanners, something like that, and you have one of those things where it's like, we have one head, we need to get this perfect.
Yeah.
And then you like fuck it up, like, oh, I left the lens cap on. It's like, oh well, fuck. Well, now we have to make a whole nother head that's gonna take like this budget, this time.
Yeah.
So fuck it, we'll just film you going like, and then we'll just CG a fucking explosion.
Yeah.
Which I am all for practical effects. I have Tom Savini's book where he explains how he did all of his practical effects and everything like
Yeah.
that. And I really want to use all that stuff because it's so cool. And I feel also it just looks like light years better.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
because it's a real object. Like I think there's like, again, that's when like that kill you mentioned, and I felt the exact same way where his jaw gets like hit off.
it's just
It
swiped off.
and it's literally weightless. It has no impact. Like there's no feeling to that. It's just this visual look. It's like a swipe wipe or whatever in an edit. Like it just looks like they waved something in front of him and then his jaw was off. Like it really didn't feel like his jaw got smashed off.
No, it's like I said, it's like a lightsaber. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if
Yeah,
that's not what you're going for, then like it just looks weird. And yeah, it has that sort of like weightless CGI feel to it that
Mhm.
like yeah, a lot of practical effects get around by having that real object. And sometimes you could play with that too, right? Like, a giant dumbbell or whatever that's actually made of foam and the person lifts it and like the physics clearly don't work how they're supposed to, but you play it for a bit or whatever. But
Right.
like
And again, that's the movie. This is the kind of movie that theoretically you can get away with those moments because, like, the audience is more forgiving in terms of like we understand what this is and what you're doing and what you're going for, and like we want to get on the movie's wavelength. But like, I don't understand like why there's like this incessant modern need to just make everything feel so samey, because clearly when things happen that feel different and stand out, like they connect. Things like Terrifier earlier this year, things like Sinners, things like Weapons, like original movies are attracting people to go to theaters to watch them. But these are movies that, like, even something like Weapons and Sinners aren't like radically inaccessible movies. They're not like radically different than, general movies, but they are different enough from kind of the mainstream stuff that you get that they have sort of a different feel. And again, like this just feels like, I said this like in the Naked Gun review, and Brandon got all bitchy at me about it, but it's like it just feels like we've gotten Toxic Avengers content. Like it's just like, we need more Toxic Avengers stuff, right? Remember, now he's got the like it's just we throw in Toxic Avengers stuff that doesn't really, it's just more of that just IP usage as opposed to
Yeah.
like a justifiable or like, you know, we've got a really interesting bit or like it's time, like in the way that even the Naked Gun, to its credit, like part of the mission with that movie that they said they had was to reintroduce that kind of humor to a new audience. And that's like a noble enough goal. And that's like, it's hard to do. And I can respect that. But it's like, if they were like, we want to make a movie like the original Toxic Avenger, but for a modern audience, that's different than making a modern Toxic Avenger movie for a modern audience,
Yeah.
which that,
Yeah.
because like it just doesn't connect. And I feel like, again, I feel like this conversation's been like broadly negative, which like I think does more or less kind of reflect my feelings for the new one. But like I want to just maybe spend a little bit of time that like the jokes in this, for what they were, worked better for me than a lot of those modern movies that we're talking about. Like I thought there was at least a few more bits, a bit more consistent laughs. It avoids kind of the pitfalls of like, oh, we have to have that quippy modern dialogue bits, and like this was really more gags. Like genuinely, I think the only part of this movie I will remember like solidly was that bit where she's like, here, follow my lead, I'll distract them, and yeah, they shoot each other. Like it, that popped me hard. I laughed. It was unexpected, it was interesting. Like there were some bits like that I thought were interesting and creative, and it was like a fun enough experience. Like even at the theater, like I think we obviously, other than how warm it was in that
Oh
theater,
God,
it
yeah,
was
it's
an
so hot.
ideal crowd to
Stinky.
watch that with. But yeah, we were surrounded by our own Toxic Avengers, I think,
Yeah.
to a
Oh
degree in
God,
that
yeah.
in that poor confined theater. But yeah, like it was like fun enough that I'm like, I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but like I certainly would not watch it again. I would not like seek it out. Like I'm bummed because I really wanted to. Like I
Yeah.
really
I
wanted to
wanted to
be
love it.
enthusiastic about this
Mhm.
movie. I really wanted it, given that circumstances and the way theaters are, that I could give it a more like enthusiastic endorsement, but I just can't. And the other thing is I can't even recommend it as like, oh well, it's the best thing playing now, go see it. There's so many movies out. Like we just finished a triple feature. Me and Adriana, Sam was there for two of them. Like there's like, that was a great day, and all of those movies I would recommend over this one, unfortunately.
I
You'd
mean, if
recommend
you can,
Jaws over Toxic Avenger?
yeah, 50th anniversary IMAX Jaws.
Yes, I will make the bold proclamation now. I think the IMAX re-release of Jaws is indeed better than Toxic
Look,
Avenger
there was a bit right
2023.
at the end of the movie where my buddy Aaron turns to me and he goes, believe it or not, that was pretty good.
But yeah, I mean, I would say, like, on a positive note, if you do have a local theater that is running a double feature of the old one and the new one, I do think it's worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
for
to see
sure.
the first one, really, I'd fucking walk out after the first one. In my opinion, that's the only reason I'd come out of the experience like on a positive note, where I'm just like, I saw the first one again. I'm like, and to see it on the big screen, like
Yeah,
a
to see
real
it in
big
the
screen,
theater is fun with a
not just
crowd.
projected onto the TV studio wall.
Yeah, like honestly, the watching the first one made me kind of want to go on like a rabbit hole down on like the Troma studio greatest hits, because they have some wacky stuff.
There's
I
a
was
lot
like
of stuff. They did a lot of really good stuff back in the day.
yeah,
And
they
it
have
was
like the Class of Nukem High. They have like Romeo and Juliet, which seems absurd.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Yeah, Troma.
Toxic Crusaders. Lloyd
Yeah.
Kaufman, the guy who like founded Troma and everything, he was at Fantasia. He did like a panel and everything like that. I was really fucking pissed I couldn't go see it. But a friend of mine went and they absolutely loved it. Like it was just really cool to see him and like hear him talk about like his sort of like passion and like why he founded Troma in the first place of just like making all of these like B movies and stuff.
But all of these B movies, like this studio, like the Wikipedia page, like some of the Troma thing, like the first section is about like, oh, people that made movies with Troma that later went on to be like actual big like Hollywood people. Like,
Oh shit!
yeah, you have
James
like
Gunn co-wrote
directed-
Tromeo and
Yeah.
Juliet.
And then you have like Trey Parker and Matt Stone made something called Cannibal the Musical.
Oh, have you never seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Oh my
Is
god.
it better than the Sewer Boys? What was that? Dick's the Musical?
Dick's
Dick's
the
the
Musical?
Musical.
So there was one point I said to Shea
Oh, yeah.
afterward.
We gotta
It
get a
was-
Nick Chepley bit while
Yeah,
it's
the
away
guy
for
who
you.
had the big chicken head, and when he took it off and he just had like a baby head.
Yeah.
I said to Shay, I was like, that gave me Sewer Boys vibes, in like obviously not a good way. Like,
Oh yeah, what was up with that? Why?
Dude, it was a
like,
bit, dude.
he had a baby
Yeah.
head.
It's the well, no, it's exactly the kind of like when Ty said the Sewers Boys bit. Like I popped so hard because that's Nick's things. Like I just love when things random and weird and crazy happen that are inexplainable, and that's one of those bits. So I think maybe there's a timeline where Nick Chepley
Went with it, and he's
Yeah,
like,
and
"Oh, it
he
was
lo-
amazing. I loved it.
Do you remember when the guy had a small head
That
for
was
no
so
reason?
funny."
We're just burying the poor guy.
Yeah.
We'll have to
He
bring him
can't
on
even
one day to
defend
defend
himself.
himself.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. We'll bring him on one time. But yeah, no, I'd be down. We can reconvene this gang in the future. We can each pick a Troma. Is it Troma?
Troma.
Tromaville.
Troma.
We can each pick one, and then we'll do a little marathon, of our
marathon.
own.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I mean,
think
they,
substances will need to be involved in that to a degree.
Yeah.
Substances.
I
Heroin.
showed
Something.
Abby the clip. I showed Abby the clip of them like running over the kid in the car, and
She's out of context.
well, I was
Babe,
trying
you're
to
gonna love
explain the
this.
movie, and I'm like, it's weird. Here, let me show you a scene. And so I showed her the scene, and she described it as like, "Oh, that looks like the most Tubi movie I've ever seen." And I'm like, you know what?
To me.
It kind of does. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Troma's back catalog is on Tubi.
Yeah.
Honestly, Tubi is underrated. They have like some highbrow stuff too. And it's like the only place you can find it. As well as like very, very shitty like Tubi originals. But
Isn't
you
that
know,
where we saw the other Twister? Was that on Tubi when we
Oh,
watched that?
fuck, probably.
Or did we have
Yes,
to find that somewhere else?
I think
thought
that
was
was
on Tubi.
also on Tubi. Yeah.
That was a nightmare,
Oh,
but
that
it was a great
That
time.
was tough. That was a tough one.
Rough
Yeah.
watch.
But yeah, I don't know. Does anyone have any other final thoughts on the Toxic Avenger double feature or what?
Well, there's one point I thought of where, like, when talking about like the CG versus practical effects, like when he crushes the fat drug dealer's head in the one thing at the gym
At the
there.
gym, yeah.
When his head squishes, like you can see the foam that the head is made out of. Like it's like it looks like memory foam, like it's just like slightly like off-white yellowish like foam. And it's one of those things where like it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But I feel
makes
like
it
so
funnier.
many. Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like so many movies nowadays are like scared of that sort of like camp or like that sort of like unpolished look.
Yeah. I think
Or
you're
like
right.
they
Yeah.
don't want their movies to look low budget. And
But,
I
like-
feel like that's very much to the detriment of most of these low budget
Yeah.
movies because
Yeah.
then they use this crappy CG that just looks worse and isn't nearly as like entertaining
Mhm.
or like there's not
Yeah.
as much like art in it.
Ironically makes it look less polished in a way, like just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it looks
It just makes
so
it look
fake.
worse.
Less
Yeah.
polish and blends so much in with everything else. Like
Yeah.
it just like it just becomes like
Samey.
again that block of just like, oh, this is all the shit, like how movies are like colored and like everything looks so similar now, and it's like, yeah, like it's just kind of baffling to me because it's like I understand like audiences now are like it's tougher to entice those people out, but you're not going to entice them out with something that looks
CG
and
slop.
feels the same as everything else they just watch in the background on streaming. It's just not going to do that. You need to like do something different and engaging enough that it pulls them out. But I do love that I was like, hey guys, let's try and like do a few positive points. And Ty's like, this movie sucks. It's a detriment to art. It's got no spirit.
I'm sorry.
Did you like anything? Like, were there like any specific bits or like?
The bit when the guy that gets his job lightsabered off, like walks out of the diner and the cops like, he's got a gun!
Oh yeah,
And fucking like obliterates him.
yeah,
And like
that,
while the other cops are trying to like get it out of his hand.
yeah, that was
Two
good.
guys shooting each other. I'm trying to think of like another bit that got me.
Well, 2 bits. We can settle for
Yeah,
2
two
bits.
two
Those
bits.
were 2 of the highlights. I remember laughing pretty hard at the cop.
Shaving
coming
her
Mhm.
gun.
Yeah. Oh, when the kid is like, oh well, at least you didn't kill anyone, and he's like, that was a little funny.
Well,
It
The,
was self-defense.
The doctor in the woods, the crazy guy in the woods,
Oh
not
yeah,
being a
Yeah.
doctor was pretty good.
who
He's
told
like,
you
"Who
I
told
was
you
a
I was a
doctor?
You did.
Yeah, no, like again, there were like, as like a kind of like general comedy, like again, like I think it honestly is decent and better than
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that has come out. Like I'd say previously, there's a bit other comedies now out right now. I feel we can shout those out. Splitsville, Adriana and I saw, we both liked that one a lot. Even The Roses, I thought was kind of pretty funny in a more traditional like 2000s type rom-com way. But like as a comedy, I think this one was actually decent. There was enough of that in there. But as something that's like a Toxic Avenger movie, now that I have like a sense of what that is, this really just feels like
hmm
kind of nothing like that in a meaningful way, other than in name, I guess.
The moments when it like doesn't take itself too seriously, I think is when it kind of shines the
Yeah.
most. But yeah, it does suffer from. I was gonna say this earlier when we were talking about oh, it's just content and like they're taking an IP and making content out of it. One thing that like I feel is like pretty emblematic of that is the way they call him Toxie in the movie. Because as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the original, he's never actually called Toxie.
They just call him
Uh,
the monster.
yeah, that's just like a nickname that fans like sort of use, right?
I think they
I wonder if it
started
came up
using
in
it
the
in the later
sequels.
movies.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
later
yeah.
on, and like because they did a animated series and stuff like that. Toxic Crusaders. They did a line of toys and everything like that, and they would always call him Toxie.
Okay. I don't know. But yeah, it felt like yeah, they just are trying to have the 2 worlds that don't mesh and like make something out of it and didn't fully work, but there are things in there that were fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the Toxic Avenger IP is not strong enough to warrant this being a Toxic Avenger movie. Like, you could have just done like a campy, over the top, like silly, like splasher comedy movie and called it a day. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is a cult following to Toxic Avenger, but not a big enough one to justify like.
The state of IP filmmaking today, where it's like we're pulling back to the Toxic Avenger and even again like the Naked Gun, like I love Naked Gun, but it's like, does that have like the kind of social clout or whatever in this day and age for that many people that you had to call this movie the Naked Gun to get people out, as opposed to just making a original movie with a similar like comedic sensibility? Like, I'm not convinced that is true,
I'm
but
a lot more convinced on Naked Gun than I am on Toxic Avenger.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But like even still though, it's like it's all kind of in the same like I think school of thought, where it's like I don't think modern audiences are that, yeah, like no one was clamoring for another Naked Gun sequel or another Naked Gun movie, or again similarly, I don't know if the Toxie, whatever the fans call themselves or whatever their names are, but like I don't know that there was a huge clamoring for this. But if it was, like, yeah, like if I was a longtime fan of this, I feel like I would be pretty disappointed in what this delivered too. But
Yeah.
anyway, way to go, Ty. I had to bring it back to the negatives.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm such
we had a
a
bright
negative
spot.
Nancy on
We
Toxic
had a
Avenger.
bright spot, but no, I mean, I want to just say too, I really appreciate Ty, Sam, and Adriana joining for this episode. I thought it would be fun to mix it up and get some guest spots on here. And I love talking movies with you guys. I hope this isn't the last time we ever do this as a group, because this was a lot of fun. And God knows we see a lot of movies together. So, we can definitely plug these in when we get the chance. But I appreciate you guys all taking the time to do this. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to them. And please just remember, if you're out at the theater and the movie has started, don't listen to voice messages out loud, holding your phone to your ear and with your screen blaring back to the crowd. I'm telling you guys, I feel like some of these, you might think we make these up. We do not make these up. We've never made one of these up. These are all real things that happened to us in the theater. We were at a great crowd. I'll give the Toxic Avenger crowd was great. From an etiquette perspective, everyone was phenomenal. This was a different movie, but it is one that we saw yesterday, and
Also,
it is wildly unbelievable.
if you're going to go to the theater, wear deodorant.
Please.
Please.
Especially if there's no air conditioning.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Honestly, that might have been a better closer for the Toxic Avenger
if it's a
review. That's
poorly
good point.
ventilated underground theater, please, for the love of God, wear deodorant. I walked into Toxic Avenger. I felt like I got flashbanged. I was like, oh!
It was part of the effect. You really feel like you're in a toxic environment,
Yeah.
Yeah, our nose hairs were singeing. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for listening, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.